Chapter 96. She is not smart enough. She got up and packed the soup she made, then went downstairs. She first went to the pharmacy at the entrance of the residential area, bought some laxatives, and then took a taxi to the door of Walton family villa. After a moment's hesitation, she rang the doorbell. Seeing that she had arrived, the servant opened the door. After walking for 3 minutes, she finally entered the entrance of William Walton's villa. The butler was waiting for her at the entrance of the pavilion. "Miss Green, hi." She nodded at him. "I'm sorry. It's already so late and I'm still disturbing you guys." "Don't say that, Miss Green. We're all happy that you are here."
"Where's William Walton? Where is he?" "Young master is in the study upstairs."
She passed the heat preservation box to the butler.
"Can I trouble you to pour the chicken soup out? I stewed this for William Walton."
Okay, I will take it. You can go directly." She nodded and went inside. She went upstairs and knocked on the door of the study. "Come in." She pushed the door open and walked in. She saw his expression. "Not bad," she smiled. William Walton raised his eyebrows and looked at her. "Should I say something, rare guest?" With a guilty conscience, she walked forward and took out a box of medicine from her bag, placing it in front of his desk. "This medicine is for you to take." William Walton looked at the medicine box and smiled. "You didn't call me yet. How do you know I'm sick?" "Sk. I heard from Benjamin when I called him and asked him if he was ready for school."
"So, you called Benjamin Walton but didn't call me?"
She pouted, feeling even more guilty. "About that," she scratched between her eyebrows.
"What, you have nothing to say? Feeling guilty?"
"It's not that I don't want to call you. I thought you would come here to get food. In the end, I didn't show up and you don't look for me?" She curled her lips. "William Walton, when others hand over the polls to you, can't you just stop crawling around? I am here. Don't you feel that it's better than a phone call? If it wasn't for my illness, I'm afraid you wouldn't have come." Well, it was true. At the door, the butler knocked on the door and came in. "Mr. Walton, this is the chicken soup that Miss Green prepared specially for you. Drink a little." He raised his brows and looked at her. "Is that so?" Laura didn't speak, but Butler was the one who said. "The auntie downstairs just said that the chicken soup was stewed in a small fire for an entire day. Miss Green is so considerate." Her face slightly flushed. This auntie's nose was way too amazing. William Walton smiled. "All right, leave it here, go out." Hearing his cold tone, Laura Green thought that William Walton was angry again. She was depressed in her heart. Why did he like to be angry? She wasn't his girlfriend, so why did she call him every day? Furthermore, when she was in a relationship with Avery Harris, she had almost never called him, okay? Nobody would call another every day since there was nothing happened. She said dejectedly, "Then remember to take some medicine. I'll be leaving first." She turned and walked towards the door with the butler. William Walton said helplessly, "Stand still." She turned her head to look at him. "Is there anything else? Where are you going? Didn't you tell us to go out?" The butler couldn't help but laugh. "Miss Green, Mr. Walton wants me to go out." William Walton waved his hand at that. The butler, "All right, you can go now. You don't need to tell her. She is not smart at all." The butler laughed and opened the door to go out. Laura Green gouged. "Will you feel uncomfortable if you don't mock me even every minute?" "Am I mocking you? I was telling the truth." "Am I stupid? I got the highest GPA in our school." "That only proves that you worked hard."
I'm not going to talk with you. I'm going home."
"Wait a moment." William Walton called out to her. "I just said a few words to you. Why are you unhappy? Do you like it if I say you're stupid? Facts have proven that you are a fool. I have been looking forward to your phone call the entire day. You finally appeared in front of me. So how could I let you go? You should know even if you think about it with your toes." Her face turned slightly red. "Come here." She looked at him. "I still feel more comfortable standing here. Give me a cup of water. How can I take the medicine without water?" She felt embarrassed and hurriedly poured some water. What's going on? Would she really become stupid in front of him? Or is it, this guy's IQ was too high? She brought the water to him. When he saw that she was still across the table from him, he picked up the medicine she had bought and looked at it. "I'm a little dehydrated, so I can't read the words on it. Can you help me take a look? I want to know how many pills should I eat at a time." She walked to his side, took the medicine, and lowered her head to read it. But before she could clearly see the words on it, William Walton had already pulled her into his embrace with lightning speed. After being pulled like this, her body became unsteady, and she fell onto his lap. She tried to stand up, but he held her tight.
"William Walton, let me go."
"I won't. You've already come to my doorstep. If I let you go, I will be a fool." She turned her head and was about to glare at him, but he pressed a hand to the back of her head and pressed her face down. Their lips met. William Walton deepened his kiss and took the incense from her. She closed her eyes and struggled to remove her lips from his after a long while. "William Walton, you're messing with me again. Because you are too tempting. There's nothing else I can do." She wanted to stand up, but he still refused to let her go. She panicked. "Let go of me and take your medicine."
"Look at me.
"Do I still need to take medicine?" She sized up his expression. Indeed, it was pretty good. "So, Benjamin is in cahoots with you. Are you lying to me when he says that you're not feeling well?" It's true that I'm not feeling well, but the family doctor has already prescribed medicine for me. This afternoon, I'm fine. In her heart, Laura Green called herself stupid. That's right, he's a dignified William Walton. He has his own personal doctor, okay? He didn't need her to deliver the medicine. Seeing her angry look, William Walton smiled and hugged her waist. However, I am truly happy that you are here. She curled her lips. Don't be complacent. I only came here because I heard that you got diarrhea because you ate unclean food last night. I feel somewhat guilty. You only found out about it tonight, but you cooked chicken soup for an entire day out of guilt? Who said that my chicken soup was for you to drink? I want to drink it myself. Sure, okay. Really, I'm not lying to you. I've told you. I believe you. No, you don't. You obviously don't believe it. William Walton poked her nose. Guilty? Was he too difficult to deal with, or was her IQ really crushed by him? Why, she felt such a strong sense of defeat. Chapter 97. I will hire you to be my babysitter. In late August, Laura entered the school and began to busy herself with the job. She was assigned to the business management profession as a counselor with 210 new students. The first few days of new semester was bustling with noise and excitement. Although she had the help of the student council, she was still too busy to have a rest. She left school at 9:30 in the evening. Along the way, the WhatsApp group she created constantly buzzed with new news. Returning to the small district, she found William Walton's car. Seeing that she was dispirited, William Walton walked to her side and caressed her head. Are you tired? She laughed and said cheerfully, I'm exhausted. Then are you going to go on with the job? I can help you change one. Laura shook her head. No, although this job is tiring, it's still very interesting. When I'm with a group of freshmen, I seem to have thought of myself from 4 years ago. And you know, in our class, there's actually a girl who doesn't even know how to deal with a quilt cover. So, she shrugged, her parents must love her so much. How enviable. I mean, who helped her with it? I did. William Walton frowned. Counselor, are you still going to do this sort of thing? You don't know. Everyone said that in the school. After the student was beaten, the security office asked, who is your counselor? When the student failed to return the book, the leader said, look for a counselor. When students did not attend classes, and teachers would look for a counselor. When students stay outside and don't come back, they look for a counselor. When students are unable to pay tuition fees, find a counselor. To put it nicely, counselor is a teacher. To put it harshly, we are actually no different from a nanny. Then why do you want to do? Do you like being a nanny? If you like, you can be my nanny, and I will pay you to be my personal nanny. She would rather become 10,000 students' nanny than serve this man who ate people without spitting out their bones. I don't want it. Why? I was wondering how the job could be so attractive to you. She lowered her eyes for a moment and looked at him. My mother's greatest hope before she died was for me to become a teacher of the people, to educate others, to meet a man who loves me, to live an ordinary life. So you insisted on staying in school just for your mother? Not your own dream? Is it your dream to be the CEO of a company? William Walton's expression tightened. Now we're talking about your matters. I'm the same as you. It's just a habit given by my original family, then it became a dream. My mother said these to me since I was young, and over time, I've decided in my heart that being a teacher is my biggest dream. Moreover, I don't think there's anything wrong with this dream. As for today, although I am tired, I feel that it is very fulfilling, she said, laughing. William Walton also felt that he had nothing to say. After all, his dream was not to be cooped up in a company for his entire life. Haven't you had dinner yet? I don't have the energy to cook for you tonight, because I want to eat instant noodles. You'd better not eat this kind of thing. You're working so hard, and eating instant noodles. I think you don't want your body to be healthy, he said as he took out his phone to call the butler, telling him to come and deliver the food. Laura Green did not want to cause trouble. She wanted to stop him, but it was already too late, because he had already finished. In addition, in this situation, it was probably useless for her to oppose him. After heading upstairs, she returned to her room and changed her clothes. The two of them sat together on the sofa, watching TV as they waited for the butler to bring them food. At the beginning, she was still watching the television program and laughing softly. However, in less than 5 minutes, he heard the sound of breathing. William Walton turned his head, and she had actually fallen asleep. He picked up the remote, turned off the TV, and went into the room to find a blanket to cover her. Looking at her alluring sleeping face, he couldn't help but lower his head and kiss her forehead, curling his lips. When the butler delivered the food, it was already 10:30 at evening. Seeing that she was sleeping soundly, he didn't want to wake her up to eat. Instead, he carried her into her bedroom. The next day, the clock rang in the living room. She yawned and stretched. However, when her left hand was pushed out, it struck a warm wall of flesh. She opened her eyes, turned her head, and saw William Walton's line of sight. She blinked and looked at him. Why are you here? He lazily sat up. That's not a trick of magician. Don't worry. Why didn't you leave last night? William Walton quickly moved forward and kissed her. The bed was so small that she almost fell out of bed. Fortunately, he quickly grabbed her and pulled her into his embrace. After struggling for a while, she sat up and got off the bed. She looked at him. William Walton, I realize that you're getting more and more unscrupulous. So what? After all, you can't get married anymore. Why not just obediently give up your guard and marry me? She glanced at him, then turned around and walked out of her bedroom to wash up. She didn't have the time or the mood to mess with him right now. She still had a lot of things to deal with at school. Breakfast. Laura warmed up the dinner Butler brought them last night. In the beginning, William Walton despised the food because it had been in the fridge for a whole night. But she only said this sentence, "Eat or not, it's up to you. I don't have time to cook breakfast anymore." In the following period of time, he was afraid that wanting to eat a meal that she cooked herself would become a dream. After all, this damned girl was so busy. He was now somewhat regretful that he had helped her get this job. Was this making trouble for himself? Probably. On the day that semester officially started, a few counselors went to the student affairs office together for a meeting. When she entered the student affairs office, she met Avery Harris, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. She had thought that if she worked at school, she would eventually meet him. After all, his mother was the principal of the school. But she didn't expect it to be so fast. Today was only the first day of school. But how strange it was. Why would he come to the school's staff office today? She lowered her head as if she hadn't seen him. It was the same for Avery Harris. As if he didn't recognize her, he only glanced at her indifferently before passing by her and entering the conference room. A few counselors beside her looked at her. She pretended not to see it. After all, she studied here. Back then, the matter between her and Avery Harris had caused such a stir, it was reasonable for them to discuss about it. She went into the conference room with the counselors. Seeing that everyone was present, the student affairs director started the meeting. This year, we have 3 new colleagues. The one beside me, Avery Harris, will be working in the student bureau from today onwards. In the future, he will only take charge of all the counselors in our university. A thunder from the clear sky. Chapter 98. Who is qualified to expel me? There are still 2 of them. They are our new counselor this year, Kathy, who is in charge of the freshman work of the civil engineering department, and Laura from business management department. After the director finished speaking, applause came from the conference room. After the applause, director looked at Avery Harris and asked, "Come, Mr. Harris, do you have anything else to say?" Avery Harris stood up, her cold gaze sweeping across everyone's faces. "Hello everyone, I am Avery Harris. I know that there are definitely some among you who think that I, Avery Harris, will stand here today because of my family's relationship. And I will tell you guys clearly, social relationship is an important resource. Therefore, from today onwards, I hope that everyone here can brace yourself up and do a good job of serving students. In the future, I will conduct assessment on all of you. I will give each of you 10 points per month. As long as you do one thing wrong, I will deduct the corresponding points from your total points. If within a month you run out of all your 10 points, then you will be fired. I won't be tolerant to any one of you." After he finished speaking, he sat down as his gaze fell onto Laura. The student affairs director clapped his hands. "Very good. Looks like your supervisor has already started to work with full passion. This evaluation system is indeed very helpful in motivating everyone to be enthusiastic about their work. Next up, everyone will need to work hard. I believe that everyone present will successfully pass. All right, if there's nothing else, then let's end today's meeting here. Everyone, let's disperse." Laura raised her hand. "Director, I have a question I would like to ask." "All right, Miss Green, go ahead. What if someone solved the personal problem in the name of doing the official work?" Without waiting for the director to speak, Avery Harris sneered. "Miss Green, are you worried that I will go against you? I just feel that since you have so aggressively stated your new policy, it is too unfair to us. If we are to be restricted by the evaluation system, does it mean that you don't need to be regulated by anyone?" "Miss Green, I think that you weren't listening when I said. As I said, I rely on my mother, so who do you think has the qualifications to fire me?" Laura stared at him. He changed. Avery Harris looked at her. "Of course, if any of you feel that you have the ability to find a background who can control me, then just look for them. I think, Miss Green, you have such ability." After Avery Harris finished speaking, he coldly casted a glance at her before taking the lead to leave the office. After he left, the director also left. In an instant, the entire office was thrown into chaos by the dozens of counselors. Because of this evaluation system, everyone felt insecure. She let out a gentle breath and covered her face with her hands. Avery Harris did it on purpose. He was clearly doing it on purpose. She couldn't help but think this way. After all, the look in Avery Harris's eyes earlier caused her heart to turn cold. That was truly a cold appearance that she had never seen before. She sighed, got up, and left the room with her notebook. As soon as she left, someone immediately said, "Hey guys, do you guys think this supervisor set up such a system to go against Laura? It's very likely that they broke up. I heard that he didn't even want to let her go in the beginning. She just insisted on breaking up. Oh my God, this is too unfair to us. What sort of bad luck do we have here?" While she was eating in the cafeteria, she called Judy Allen. Knowing that Avery Harris had become the boss of her, Judy Allen panicked and directly swore. Avery Harris, is he sick? It's not enough to just shit on your head. Do you still need to hold this shit in your hands? She frowned Laura. Hey, what are you talking about? I'm eating. Oops, I'm sorry. I was just too angry. He's just a dead pervert. It's him who made a mistake. It's fine if he doesn't keep his tail between his legs, but how could he bully you? She was irritated and poked the pork in her lunch. Judy Allen was depressed. Tell me, what grudge do you have with him? Even now, I can still remember his attentive look when he was chasing after you, and in the end he turned hostile and disowned you. Right? It turned out to be true that if a man became heartless, it would be a disaster for you. This Avery Harris is more than a disaster for you. It would be like a bomb that weighs a lot. I say, girl, do you have to stay in school? Just resign and come to my place. I'll support you. We won't give him the chance to bully us. Hearing Judy Allen speak with such righteousness, Laura couldn't help but laugh. Judy, I must persevere. This is something I must do. I don't like to give up halfway. Are you really not afraid that Avery Harris will target you? I'd like to see how bad his conscience is and how blind I used to be. The more ruthless he is, the more confident I will be able to completely forget about everything that happened in the past. Thus, even though it is very troublesome, I am not afraid. Judy Allen sighed. That's true. If you had obediently left the school at this time, then you are not Laura. It's not like I have never seen your stubbornness before. I'm fine. Actually, I'm not afraid of Avery Harris at all. I just don't like to make civil things complicated. But now, since he's here, I can only face him. Okay, if there comes a day when you really can't hold on anymore, remember, you still have a good sister named Judy Allen who can become your strong shield. She hissed after saying this. Isn't it just overestimating myself that I'm saying this? After all, you still have such a powerful brother. You could find him to go against him. She knew who the brother Judy Allen was referring to. Her face was flushed red. That brother isn't here to settle such a small matter. If he were to make a move, this entire school will be in trouble. Those words of yours are true. However, you must not tolerate them. You must remember that you have someone backing you. She pursed her lips and smiled. I understand. A figure flashed behind her, and someone placed a tray across from her. She looked up and saw that it was Benjamin Walton. She said to Judy Allen, who was on the other end of the phone, Judy, my student is looking for me for something. Next time, I'll have a chat with you. After hanging up, she looked at Benjamin Walton, who had his head lowered and was about to start eating. Benjamin Walton asked, Laura, who are you calling? Eat your food, and don't meddle in other people's business. Also, don't call me Laura. What are you afraid of? Others don't know who I am, so I naturally don't know who William is. Furthermore, it's also impossible for me to not meddle in other people's business. After all, I came to this university with a mission. She frowned. What kind of mission? William taught me to be a spy and watch over you. You're not allowed to be seduced by other men. Chapter 99. Cherish the man who can change himself for you. She gave him a blow. This brother of yours is really funny. You are the first person in the world to say that William is funny, Benjamin Walton said with a serious face. Normally, when others were in front of me, they would say that William is wise, smart, and domineering. But behind my back, they would secretly say that William is heartless, cold, blooded, and cruel. In short, I've listened to almost all of those words about William, but I've never heard of this before. Benjamin's words made a peculiar feeling in her heart. On the surface, William Walton looked cold and heartless. However, deep down in his heart, he was a truly warm person. It was much better than those who seemed to be laughing and talking to you, but were actually slandering you in their hearts. It was a pity that most people evaluated a person based on his own benefits. No one really understands each other's true nature. Laura, it seems like William is really extraordinary in front of you. You must cherish this man who has changed for you. Benjamin Walton felt that for there to be such a person in this world, to be able to control his William, it was truly a good thing. At the very least, there would be someone to support him in the future. How did he change for me? He was a good person to begin with. It's just that those people you mentioned didn't notice. Thus, his change has nothing to do with me. Also, I'll say it again. This is a school. In the future, you're not allowed to call me Laura. Call me Miss Green, or call me counselor or sister like other people. You can pick one. All right then. When I was at school, I call you sister. I'll call Laura after we leave the school gate. Laura looked at him speechlessly. The brothers of Walton family are all of the same moral character. Yeah, they all have the same blood on them. She didn't bother to argue with him and continued to eat. Noticing that, the people eating nearby cast their gazes towards the two of them. After thinking for a moment, she said, Benjamin, from now on, you can't come over to eat with me anymore. Do you understand? Why? She looked at him. Whether it was his appearance, body, or even temperament, he was one of the best amongst the university students. It was only a matter of time before he would be able to attract the attention of the girls. If she went too close to him, she was afraid that she wouldn't know what kind of gossip she would have to talk about in the future. Aren't you afraid that others will gossip? Just say it, I know what I'm doing. After thinking about it, she threatened. Little ancestor, I'm afraid. My reputation is not that good to begin with. If people continue to discuss about it, I really won't be able to continue staying in this school. Who said that your reputation is bad? I heard things about you. You are the most beautiful beauties in the history of the university, as well as the top students who broke several records in school. In the entire university, you only had one boyfriend, and some bitch made you broke up with him. When the male seniors in the male dorms mentioned you, their eyes were all shining with a golden light. Originally, I didn't intend to help William watch over you, but when I saw the gazes of those wolves, I decided that I must help him. She put down her fork and stood up. You little rascal. It's fine. Just you wait and see. I'll see how long you can last. I'm full, so I'll go back to the office first. You take your time and eat. She walked out of the cafeteria, and just as she walked to the entrance of the office, it just so happened that Avery Harris walked out. Her steps paused for a moment. Avery Harris glanced at her for a moment, then coldly shifted his gaze away from her face and wiped off her shoulder. With a slight raise of her eyebrows, she walked up the stairs and entered the building. He walked a few steps and heard the sound of footsteps behind him. Only then did he stand still and turn around to look at her back. He clenched his fist slightly, feeling as if his heart was bleeding. He swore in his heart that he would make her regret it. He wanted to return Laura Green back to his side, regardless of the cost. When Laura Green returned to the entrance of the office, there was a flurry of discussion about the contents of the meeting that Avery Harris had held this morning. She was about to open the door when she heard her name mentioned. The one who spoke was the Kathy. It must be for the sake of Laura. Otherwise, the dignified eldest young master of the Harris family, who had many choices after graduation, why he come to the school to do this kind of work? Said he was working for a job, a salary. Who would believe that? Kathy said, that's right, our future is bleak. Kathy continued to speak. What kind of bad luck are we? It was clearly a couple who were in trouble, but we were the ones lying on the ground. This is too unfair. Mia, who did not speak much, said, it's fine. I think that in the future, Laura will not be any better than ours. This policy is clearly aimed at her. Can't you see? Today he already went against her. I'm afraid that as long as we are careful, we will be fine. But although Laura behaved herself well, she will still be in trouble. We are colleagues, so stop saying these. Kathy retorted, that's not it, Mia. I feel like I'm asking for it. How could she reject him? After all, he is excellent, Mia said, but he did something wrong. In this day and age, how can rich men not make mistakes? The Mia laughed. What if Laura just want to find a man who loves her, not a rich man? Laura has the right to refuse someone betrayed her, hasn't she? Because of her and Avery Harris, the three people in the office started to argue. She felt that it would be very awkward if she went in now. Thus, she retracted her hand and turned around to leave the office building. As usual, she found a secluded corner, turned on her cell phone, found a group of students, and looked at the chats. These children were all familiar with each other. In less than an hour, they had actually talked about many things. Everyone spontaneously introduced themselves and even started to discuss their own class. There were even people who woo at her. Sister, who's the handsome guy eating lunch with you today? Is he from our department? So handsome. Is he your boyfriend? Upon seeing this news, she smiled in a Laura and speechless manner. Someone had actually linked her to a little kid? After this message, everyone started to discuss her. After reading through hundreds of them, the boys all shouted, we did a research. Our teacher is definitely the most beautiful counselor. One of the girls said, I'm a girl, but I'm a bit stunned by her beauty. Our teacher is the most beautiful goddess I've ever seen. Hey, did everyone miss the point? I asked. Who is that guy with Miss Green? Does anyone know? Those who know about it, come out and scout. Below there was a group of people said that they didn't know. She smiled and silently replied, I know. Chapter 100, Miss Green, you are not a human being. Blah. Miss Green has appeared. The comments below instantly exploded. Miss Green, quickly come and answer. The truth. Laura smiled and sent a voice message to everyone. Before I answer everyone, I need to make a small request. From now on, everyone in this group is forbidden from teasing me about my face and my love situation. Also, because there are so many people and so much information, you have to send me a private message, or at me, and don't let me miss the time when you need me. And now I will answer your question. The youth who is eating lunch with me today is from the same branch of yours and is also my friend's little brother. In the past, I was his home tutor before. He's called Benjamin Walton, and he's also in the chat group. In addition, at noon, everyone should take a short rest. Otherwise, you'll lose your spirit in the afternoon. Okay, that's it. Call me when you need me. Once she said that, Benjamin Walton became everyone's topic of discussion. In less than 10 minutes, Benjamin Walton had already called her. Laura, why did you say that? My WhatsApp will be blown up by the girls' messages. She smiled. I didn't betray you. This is an introduction. Don't not know what's good for you. I'm still busy here. Don't call me if you have nothing else to do in the future. She hung up. Boy, you even want to keep an eye on me? You'll be very busy in the future. Let's see, how could you get the free time to look at me? After work in the afternoon, she confirmed in the group that the students were fine and returned home. At the entrance of the building, William Walton's car was parked in that position once again. She looked at William Walton, who was walking toward her. Is it appropriate for you to occupy someone else's parking space every day? Occupy? Have you seen anyone take it for free? It's not a good word. She frowned. What do you mean? You paid? Of course. When did it happen? The day you moved here. When my car was waiting for you here, someone told me to move my car, so I gave him $100,000. If I come here within 3 months, I have to use this parking space first. Why 3 months? She looked at him, puzzled. Because I will marry you after 3 months. If I marry you, you won't be living here anymore. She rolled her eyes and was about to go upstairs. William Walton caught up and said with a mischievous smile behind her. What? It can't be that you were unwilling to part with me just now because I only came to find you for 3 months, right? Entering the elevator, she turned towards him. Laura, William Walton, can you not be so conceited? No one in the world would dare to say that about me. Then just treat me as an alien. You are not a human being. She stared at him, Laura. His face was devilishly charming as he said, You're a siren that captures my soul. She sighed. Is this how you tease women all the time? Don't say that. I always preserve my moral integrity. A man with moral integrity would bring a drunk woman home from a bar? William Walton moved closer to her. So, you're taking the initiative to discuss what happened that night with me? Her face reddened. The elevator arrived. She was about to leave. However, he pulled her in with a single hand and placed her against the wall of the elevator. Miss Green, didn't I tell you last time? There's a medicinal fragrance on you, the fragrance of aphrodisiac, that would make men unable to stop themselves from being seduced by you. So, you are not a human being. You are a siren. She blushed like a monkey's ass. Seeing her shy look, William Walton inexplicably felt joy. He lowered his head and sucked at the corner of her lips. Just as the elevator door was about to close, someone suddenly appeared at the door and pressed down on the elevator again. Seeing the duo in the elevator, the person at the door hesitated to enter. She blushed and pushed William Walton away. She then got out of the elevator with a blush and walked in the direction of 909. William Walton kept his hands in his pockets and followed her out. Seeing her fleeing, he chuckled. After returning home, just as she was about to close the door, William Walton appeared at the entrance. She said somewhat angrily, I suddenly remember that today is not the weekend, so I don't need to entertain you. But how could her strength compare to his? He exerted a little more force and successfully squeezed in, closing the door behind him. She then took 2 steps back and said with a lack of confidence, Let me say this first. If you still dare to mess with me, I will never let you come to my house again. Seeing her nervous appearance, he restrained his laughter. So, you were just thinking, I'll come in and eat you? Did the scene you imagined turned you on? Her face turned even redder. I'm not thinking about anything. All right, you don't need to think about anything else. He calmly nodded his head, walked to the sofa and sat down. William Walton, I really don't think about anything. I'm just warning you. So I said, okay, I'm not here to eat with you tonight. I'm here to eat, and to inquire about my brother's performance at school as a brother. Miss Green, you're thinking too much. She grinded her teeth and stared at him with her eyes, then turned around to go back inside the kitchen to cook, distancing herself from William Walton. During dinner, William Walton asked, Did Benjamin go to school today? He even went to eat lunch with me and said that you made him watch over me. He's already seen me, so how could he not report to you? He only reports to me when he has something to report. She pursed her lips. Don't make him waste his efforts in the future. He's a student. He go to school for the sake of studying, not to help you chase women. William Walton scoffed. She frowned and was a bit displeased. What are you laughing about? I'm laughing because you look like a teacher. Don't you have anything interesting in school today? After thinking about it, she said, You remind me, there really is one. Tell me about it. She smiled in a Laura and naughty manner. Didn't Benjamin eat lunch with me today? There are a lot of girls in the group asking me who he is. In the afternoon, I also heard counselors talking about their own students. They said that in the afternoon, almost all of their classmates were discussing about Benjamin. This year's school most handsome boy, Benjamin will probably have taken it. William Walton raised his eyebrows. The genes in our Walton family are not bad at all. After listening to his boasting, she decided to keep silent. What kind of expression is that? Could it be that you think I'm wrong? She gave her a thumbs up and said with a powerless look, Right, you are right. No one dares to say something against you. Looks like you still feel that something is amiss. When you mentioned Benjamin earlier, you seemed to be very much in favor of him becoming the school's most handsome boy. This also meant that you also thought highly of Benjamin, but now, it seems that they don't agree with me, and they've disagreed with me. What? Don't tell me you think that I'm not good enough.